Redbeard.
Yes, sir.
Redbeard. Where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
Born in San Diego, California. Grew up in Texas, mainly Austin. After several institutions, boys' ranches, group homes, things like that.
What was going on at home that you ended up there?
Well, my mom had passed away when I was 8, and I had never met my dad. And so they just kind of threw me in with my dad and his new family, which I had a stepbrother and a stepsister and a stepmom. And we didn't really know how to be around each other. And they hated my dad, so they took it out on me. And eventually, the marriage went south, and my dad went through some hard times and couldn't have a kid with him, and so he just let the state take me, and they put me in the Wichita Falls State Hospital for an assessment, and then shipped me to several group homes, bad ones. But, it wasn't all bad. Anyways, I ran away when I was getting ready to finish 8th grade, and the state decided to send me back to my dad. So that's how I got out of state care. But I left his house within like 2 months. We didn't get along, and I had my own plans.
Where'd you go?
Stayed in Austin, playing music. The one good thing that my dad gave me was a guitar. He gave me a guitar on my 14th birthday and a book called The Beatles Complete, and it had like tablature, showed me where to put my fingers, and that's how I learned how to play guitar. And he was like a poet and ran this open mic at a place called Chicago House in Austin. And I used to go there, and I started getting up on stage with the guitar, and then somebody asked me if I wanted to play a show at another place, and that's just, ever since then I've been playing, anywhere I can, mainly on the street, but I mean, I've played in clubs in Austin, Dallas, Houston, El Paso, I mean, all over Texas, but mostly on the street.
But what is it about music that attracts you?
When I play, I can basically create a way. At first, it was just, I thought it was fun and it was interesting, and and chicks dig it, and all that. But through the years, I've found that it's a really good coping mechanism, and it helps me to heal from things that have happened. Things haven't been easy for me at times. And I found that if I write them into music, it helps me to let go of some of the stuff, but it also helps other people. I've had so many people tell me that my song was what they were feeling. Like they said that I put in words what they didn't know how to express.
What would you say is the toughest part of your childhood?
I mean, the death of my mom was pretty rough, but I didn't really understand it. My mom and I weren't really close, but there was a lot of violence at home. There was a lot of pain, and being a kid, you don't understand that stuff, so I was just really confused a lot of the time. And so the only things I really remember up to about age 9 is just confusion, pain, resentment, and just not knowing what I did wrong, and I still have some stuff to cope with from back then, but I do understand now that my mom was struggling. She was a single mother, trying to take care of this kid that she didn't ask for, and I just ended up catching the brunt of it sometimes, but I understand now, I understand what motivated her, and I forgave her a long time ago, She didn't. It wasn't her intention to hurt a little kid. You know, she just didn't have anywhere else to put her anger.
And drugs have been a part of your life?
Oh yeah, as far back as I can remember. I smoked my first joint when I was 10. And, you know, through high school, I messed with, you know, cocaine and ecstasy and acid and stuff like that. But when I started getting into the bands really heavily is when I really started messing with heroin. And I thought that's what I was supposed to do. You know, all the people that I looked up to as a kid, all my idols were junkies, you know, and they're all dead, you know. But I thought that that's what rock stars did, you know. So that's what I did. And since I think I was 18, first time I did a shot of heroin. And I haven't been clean for more than a year since then.
How old are you now?
I'll be 50 this year. I mean, the longest clean time I've ever had was when I was doing time. You know, I caught a 6-year sentence for the charges were burglary, residential burglary with people present, burglary tools, and a weapon. But what actually happened was I was super drunk and I walked into my neighbor's house with a Leatherman tool in my pocket. And he woke up, asked me what I was doing in his house. And, you know, the world came back into focus and I was like, oh shit, I'm not in my house. I'm in his house. You know, so I left. But when I went to court, they just blew it up into this big, dangerous predator thing, you know, like I was there to do some harm. And they sentenced me to 6 years at 85%. And I did all of that plus another 3. Because just like everything else in my life, if I do it, I do it to the fullest, you know what I mean? And I decided if I was going to be a convict, I was going to be a convict. And some of my tattoo work is from when I was a lot younger and a lot meaner. And I was part of a group that wasn't very nice. And so when I got to prison, they saw those tattoos and they assumed that that's who I was and that's what I wanted to be. And so they brought me into this group in there. And so rather than being able to just do my time, I had to follow orders. You know, I had to put in work. I had to do things that I probably wouldn't have done if somebody hadn't told me I had to. But it wasn't that much. It wasn't that often. You know, it wasn't like I spent all my days beating people up, you know. But there were times when if I didn't do it, then it was going to happen to me, you know. So I did it.
You told me you were a lot bigger at one time.
Yeah. When I was younger, I used to bodybuild. And I mean, when I was a kid, I used to run track and I used to lift weights and I was big. But, you know, then drugs came along and I got all sucked up. But when I went to prison, I made a decision that I was going to come out better than I went in. And so I quit smoking. I quit, you know, just doing all the bad things. And I spent my whole time in there working out and going to school. I got my GED while I was in there. And when I got out, I enrolled in college in Sacramento and started learning how to be a chef. I took culinary arts, but I also took weightlifting. And by the time I left college, I was, I think, like 192. And but then I got sick. I found out I had hemochromatosis and Hep C. And the Hep C they got rid of, but hemochromatosis is just something you got to live with.
What is that?
It's a blood disorder that mainly affects whites in their, you know, late 30s, early 40s. But it's the ferritin in my blood is substantially greater than the ferritin in most people's. Like a normal level is 60 to 80, and when they caught mine it was 1440. So they put a port in my chest, and I have to go in to have bloodletting done. They basically stick a link into the port, and then they take out a liter of blood. And I'm supposed to do that every 2 weeks, but I don't, because it's rough, you know. I get tired and weak and cranky, and and it doesn't really affect me that much, you know. So
You're staying in the Tenderloin now in San Francisco?
yeah, I have an apartment. First apartment I've ever had that was just mine, and yeah, I live in a pretty bad area. From the moment I walk out of my building to the moment I get back to my building, I have to pay close attention to what I'm doing, because people, they just don't care anymore. They will rob you. They will, I got hit in the face the other day just walking down the street. Somebody just sucker punched me for no reason whatsoever. And him and his friends, they just laughed. Look what we did. There wasn't anything I could do. I'm not big anymore. I'm not badass anymore. I'm just, a sick old man. And I would have got the crap beat out of me if I would have gone back and said anything. So
The Tenderloin's gotten worse?
it's bad. It's real bad. I mean, what used to be, kind of rough, and there was a little bit of heroin and a little bit of crack, to now there's just groups of dealers on every corner. You've literally got to wade through people and they're all asking you, what do you want? What do you need? What do you need? And they're all selling Fetty. But it's not the same anymore. It's not just fentanyl. It's, do you want fentanyl, or do you want clean, or do you want ISO, or, it's like they've got all these new variants, and you're either dealing with a dope dealer trying to sell you something, or somebody who is got their feet on the ground right here and their hands on the ground right there, and they're just hanging. They're just loaded, and that's their deal.
And heroin's not a thing anymore for you.
No, I don't.
You can't find it.
Oh, it's there. It's there, but the fentanyl is just way stronger. A couple of years ago, I worked for the AIDS Foundation at the Needle Exchange over on 6th Street, and I'm a certified Narcan trainer, and they taught me how to do that. And I used to go out and rescue people that had overdosed, and it's the stuff that works for heroin doesn't work for fentanyl. I mean, you can reverse an overdose with Narcan, but this new stuff that they've got out, it's like you got to hit somebody a couple of times, and sometimes that doesn't work. It's not, I don't think it's fentanyl. I think they're using something else now, because, I'll admit that I am an active user, not anything like I used to be. I have a lot of pain management problems, and I do a little dope to function, but it's not the 1.5 grams a day I used to do. I do maybe 1/10 of a gram a day now, and I'm actually getting ready to go get back on methadone and probably check myself into a place for like 30 days just to get my head straight. This city is not where I want to be anymore, and I need to figure out what I want to do, but I don't think this is the place for me.
Do you have children?
I've got 3 sons and a gaggle of grandkids. Nevin and Tristan are in Texas with their mom. They're both in their 20s. Nevin is my first kid. He's a knucklehead just like me. He's an asshole just like me. And we don't get along because he thinks I've abandoned them when I came back to California. He doesn't understand that I could not get the medical care in Texas that I needed. Tristan, on the other hand, he's a park ranger now. Yeah, he looked at me and he looked at Nevin and he went, "Nope, I'm gonna go do something productive." And he's married. He's got 2 kids, and he just did a 180. You know, he's an awesome kid. I mean, they're both awesome kids. It's just he's the one that learned. You know, he looked at me and he learned. Nevin didn't. But my youngest, he got adopted when he was not even a year old. And he found me about 3 years ago on the internet. And he just told me he thought I was his dad and he wanted to meet me. And so his adoptive parents were cool with it. We met up for lunch one day, and then we've been building a relationship ever since then. You know, it's pretty amazing. He's an awesome kid.
He's how old?
He's 18 now.
What do you think of Dad?
What does he think of Dad?
What did he think of his dad?
I would like to say that he thinks I'm cool as hell and all that, but I think he thinks I'm kind of a dick because he assumed that because of the way that I've been that I would let him be that way, you know, and he doesn't understand that by not helping him to do the things that I did, I'm actually helping him. You know, he thinks I'm, you know, holding him back or being mean, or he doesn't understand that it's because I love him, you know, that I don't want to see him take the path I took. But he is bound and determined to do it. He's up in Chico, well, not now, but he was up in Chico with his mom, and she was calling me almost every day telling me he's using fentanyl. You know, he's getting hooked up with the same people I was hooked up with when I lived up there, you know, and he was on his way to prison. But she told me he went back to live with his adoptive parents, and he's trying to get his shit back together. You know, I hope he does, because out of all my kids, he's the one that's the most like me. Like, I could read him like a book. You know, when he would lie to me, I knew before he was even finished with the sentence that he was lying to me, because it was my lie. You know, he was trying to run game on me that I used to run on other people. You know, and I would tell him, "Kid, I'm your dad. You know, I don't know how I know this, but I know this, that you are lying to me." And he would just get so mad, and then he'd tell me later, "I don't understand how you knew." It's because I know he's my kid, you know, that he's trying to run my drag on me. It doesn't work. But he's a good kid, and I love him. I love the shit out of him. I'm so glad he got back in touch with me. You know, I didn't think I was ever going to hear from him again.
What would you say is your biggest regret?
Ooh. My biggest regret? Oh, man, I've got so many. I would have to say that I hurt a lot of people when I was younger, and there's just nothing I can do to change that, you know. And you know, some of the people that I hurt the most are gone now, you know, and I will never get a chance to apologize, you know. And just, I would say everything I ever did for dope that hurt somebody, you know, that's my main regret. Because I didn't even really understand how bad I was hurting people, or how me getting loaded would affect other people. I mean, I knew that when I was stealing shit and lying about things that, of course that hurts people, but I didn't really understand that just being an addict and chasing a bag for the past 20 years has been painful for everybody that loves me, you know? And I'm at 50 years old is when I'm starting to finally understand what I've done. But luckily, a lot of those people are still around and they still take my phone calls. I've got some people that love me super hard, and they've been there for me since I was 16. Yeah, there's a couple that are still around that I don't know why they're still around, but they are.
Do you feel misunderstood by most people?
No, I think I'm pretty clear. I think I make it pretty obvious what I'm about, and I'm pretty quick to clear up any misunderstandings. When I was younger, I think I was a lot more misunderstood than I am now. But no, I don't feel misunderstood. I'm pretty good at making myself understood.
What would you say is your greatest strength?
Being able to say I'm wrong. Being able to admit that, okay, you're right, I'm not. Instead of just holding my ground for all it's worth, even when I know that I'm sinking, just being able to say, all right, no, you're right, I'm not. I've seen too many people just hold on to their principles until it kills them. And like, what is so hard about just admitting you're wrong? I've got my dad and I go through these cycles where we don't talk because he would rather hang up the phone and not talk to me for 2 months than admit that I might be right. And I mean, just I'll show him facts and statistics, and he will just, nope, I'm right. Like, nothing I can do. He's my dad and I love him. We didn't talk for almost 20 years. Yeah, he had another kid, my little sister, Zenobia Celeste. And she is unique. She's pretty awesome. But she is 100% her own person, and they wanted to protect her. They didn't want her to end up being like me, and I guess one day I called them. Oh, the day I called to tell my dad that I found out I had Hep C, he thought that I was trying to scam him for money, and he disowned me. He said, "Don't ever call me again." And after I got out of prison, I had some paperwork sent to him that, like, all my medical stuff. And he called me in tears, and that was 2009, I think. And we've been building a relationship ever since then, I understand him a lot better than I ever did.
What would you say is your biggest fear?
Have you seen out there? You know, um, man, I am so scared that a couple of dumbass people are gonna get the rest of us killed right now. Just politics. You can't get away from it anymore. It's all anybody talks about, and I'm watching these things play out that make no sense, and it seems to me that they are bound and determined to get us all killed. It's like they're trying to start a nuclear war or something. I just want to live. I want my kids to be able to be 50. I want my grandkids to be able to grow up and not be, called bigots because they're white. And that's all. I'm just like, I'm afraid that we're digging a hole that we're not going to be able to get out of, and it's all going to end. And it doesn't have to. There's just a few people with really loud voices that are digging us all in so deep. And I don't understand why nobody's doing anything about it. I don't understand. I don't know how. I would love to do something about it, but I have no idea how to even begin. I want my grandkids to have a chance, and it really worries me that they're not going to get to. But, maybe Trump will get reelected and we'll all be okay.
Yeah. You want to play a little music for us?
Sure.
Close this out?
Yeah. My voice is a little hoarse because I just got my baby out of pond today, and I was walking down the street singing. But I'll see what I can do. Got addicted, can't go back. I'm a junkie, what you think about that? I live for using, and I used to live. And hurt's the only thing I freely give. Gotta slam to ease the pain. Down and up and down again. Tell myself it's all okay, but wishing I would die today. Take these needles and take the pain. I just wanna live again. Pull me up before I drown. This hurt's the only thing I found. Yeah. And will you find the living there, full of holes and living lost? I knew someday I'd pay the cost, living down a deep dark hole.
and wondering if I have a soul. My feet are planted in the fire. I'm only living to get higher. Take these needles, take the pain, 'cause every fucking day's the same. Pull me up before I drown, before this habit takes me down. Take me down, yeah. Take these needles, take the pain. I just wanna live again. Pull me up before I'm down, before this habit takes me down. Take these needles, take the pain, and every fucking day's the same. Pull me up before I drown, before this habit takes me down. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you, Joshua.
You're welcome. Thank you.